There we go.
Yes, we made it.
How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's been a busy day, but it's warmed up, so I feel much better.
Yeah, no, I know it is warm. Actually, realized I might actually take off this top. It's actually really hot. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How's your Sunday going?
It's amazing. It's great. I'm excited to talk to you. It's been when did we last chat? That was at Sustainable BK.
Yeah, the Earth Symposium two,
Yeah.
3 months ago.
Oh my God, time flies.
I know. It's been
It
a while.
Oh, so good to reconnect.
Yes, yes. So I wanted you to just start off today sharing with my audience what it is that you do and how you got into this aspect of the wellness space.
Ah, um, the well, in short form, I'm a mindset coach and I'm a heart meditation guide. What that means is I utilize, well, it's essentially self Reiki heart techniques. Heart meditation, connecting with our heart to actually help overcome traumas, help overcome anxiety, help overcome overwhelm in your life, so we could then dive into deeper feelings that we've been suppressing. A lot of us feel like, I usually ask people in their first week working with me, when was the last time you consciously connected to your heart? And many people say, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like
Mm,
never, or a long time, or maybe during yoga practice, or maybe in an intermittent meditation practice that they're guided in. So really feeling that the heart is the center of overcoming all trauma and challenges in someone's life, so then they can actually connect to the power of who they are. And then that's when I kind of kick in mindset coaching. Once they connect to feelings, suppressed feelings that they've been holding back for years, and feel that divine connection to source themselves, they can then feel their own connection to their truth, to their purpose, if they feel lost, whether or not it's in their life, relationships, or career. So I work with people specifically over 10 weeks. I don't do
mm,
single sessions. I might not be the typical coach or healer, quote unquote. Like, I don't offer single sessions. In my practice, I found they're great, but with my particular clients, I tend to attract people who are committed, who are like, I want to overcome this once
that's
and for
great.
all. And that actually takes a committed, consistent practice, with you in wellness as well. And in fitness, even, it's like building muscle. You can't build muscle if you stop for 2 weeks. So if you want to rewire a neural pathway, rewire a belief or subconscious behavior that someone's lived in for 20, 30, 40 years, then we need to keep going with momentum and dive into a consistent practice. So that's what I do.
Right. So I remember when I first met you, and you kind of gave me a shorter version of that. And I was saying to you, if you recall, like your work is similar to teachings I've heard from Joe Dispenza with
Yeah.
the heart and mind connection. So I'm familiar. Some of our followers may be familiar, but to those who aren't familiar with the heart and mind connection, that may come to you and say, "What is that? Like, how do I do that? Like, how do you ease them into this kind of therapy?"
Yeah, Dr. Joe Dispenza is probably at the forefront of really sharing the data of what people like us do, what coaches even like me do, or meditation guides, or quote unquote healers. And I'll use that in quotation marks because, as a healer, even though some of my clients refer me as that, I'm not healing anyone. There's no magic here.
Right.
When you allow someone to reduce their brain waves, so they can reduce the cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase the dopamine, and then feel that connection in their heart. When we're talking about that, we're talking about actually feeling and entraining your brain to more clearly communicate with the heart. So we can, because there's actually like 40, 50,000 neurons that actually live in the heart as well.
Right.
So your brain is not only your only brain. We have our brain in our head, of course. We have our gut, which has been known, of course, and proven, as you know, to have neurites in it as well. And same thing with our heart. Joe Dispenza and other, even Heart Math Institute, have measured it at 0.01 hertz is the ideal frequency of a seamless connection of information.
Mm.
And when we're living with years of stress, tension, pressure, friction, anxiety, overwhelm, that pressure lives as pressure in your cells. Like, it actually is friction. You know, you feel tense. You feel like it's like a somatic experience. You're like, oh, I feel tight. Right. You know, and people think we need to attack that or work with that from the outside. And what people like Joe Dispenza and myself are doing is teaching people to actually release tension from the inside out.
Right.
And that requires a connection to the heart that has been missing for many people when we live in a very cognitive, logical world where we think we only need to figure things out instead of feeling what feels true to us. And one of the biggest tenets of my practice is that, you know, we all want to change our life and take new action. Great. You can't do that without an inspired thought. So we already kind of know that. You need to think a new thought to create a new action. But the missing piece, you need a feeling that inspires a thought that motivates the action. Right. The reason many people aren't motivated is because they're not connected to a feeling that feels true to them.
Right.
Like not a projected feeling from someone else or a projected feeling from society, something that actually feels honest and true to them. And that's what people have been suppressing. So that's why the connection, like even biochemically between the brain and the heart, is so important for one person's healing and well-being and just igniting their own life.
Right. So do you establish that mind-heart connection through breathing practices, or what techniques do you suggest to people to establish that connection?
Well, I think that's why we connected so well at that event, because you practice Qigong as well. And I studied Qigong and Kung Fu as a kid, Shaolin Kung Fu. So I kind of come from that martial arts background. My family is pretty big into martial arts or jiu-jitsu as well. So breathing as part of a biochemical practice, like a biohacking practice, is something we like to say now. It's very popular. Yeah. But you're biohacking. You're actually changing your brain's chemistry by utilizing a longer breath and more consistent breath. So yeah, I utilize Qigong and breathwork practices in my program. Usually I'll do it in stages. So there's essentially 3 stages when someone works with me. The first stage is breathwork. You know, we need to release tension in the body, not through the mind. Like if our mind's like at a high brainwave anxiety rate, I can't tell someone, okay, change your mind about this. They're like, screw you. No, what are you talking about? I'm still thinking it. I still can't sleep, Phil. I'm living with all this tension. So allowing someone to dive into breath work in the beginning allows them to release physical tension in the body, which releases more inner tension within them. Then they could learn to then feel more feelings, and then we can get into the coaching. So it's a combination of breath work, mindset coaching, and then I get into meditation techniques. In my opinion, a lot of people try and dive into meditation too early, or they go a little too advanced. They try something they see online and they're like, it's not working. Meditation doesn't work. And it's because they're running at a high brainwave rate where they can't slow it down. They need to do it gradually, either with a more like a beginner breath work or meditation practice to then work up to something deeper.
Right. So with me, I was one of those people who dealt with consistent overthinking, and that overthinking produced extreme tension in my body. And when I met my Shifu, and for those who don't know, that means teacher, he taught me day one, you know, any tension in the body impedes the fluidity of life force. And that healing takes place in a state of deep relaxation. And we incorporate a lot of breath work along with imagination work into centering and anchoring ourselves into the present. So you being a mindset coach, can you elaborate more on that? Are there any imagination exercises included, or what does that look like in your practice?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it all starts with, like, first off, you said that even in Qigong, and same thing in Shaolin Kung Fu, you have to kind of release the tension in your body to find a state of ease. And that's when we move from dis-ease into ease. You know, disease, the word just comes from, I'm not at ease. So the first thing is to be in a state of ease so we can feel that subtle energy that we have not been able to feel our entire lives, right? Like, once you can enter into that state of energetic feeling by releasing those tensions physically within the body and cells first, then you could find more clarity on who you are, why you are the way you are, what you desire.
Right.
To then do visualization and imagination techniques, which then I introduce at the end of my program. You know, a lot of people, I find in my practice, when a lot of people are introduced to visualization programs or visualization and identity and emotionalization, you know, when we're trying to create an image of our life that we want to create for ourselves, if we get into that too early and we're not clear on what are true feelings, then we're still kind of projecting.
That's true.
We're kind of shooting blanks, as I say. We're just shooting at, okay, I think I want this. I'm like, great, but do you really feel it?
Right.
And it's feeling that intention of what we desire that actually allows someone to powerfully create the life they want. Not, again, the life that they really want. Like, people come to me, it's interesting, in the beginning, they're like, okay, my business is going bankrupt. And I usually work with creative and wellness professionals. It's kind of like the people that I attract and that I gel with. Mainly because I used to be a creative as well, and a creative director in fashion and advertising. But I find that whether or not someone comes to me with their business, or whether or not they're about to go bankrupt, or whether or not they have a physical disease, whether or not their relationship, or maybe they're going through a tragic, like a divorce. Maybe they've gone through death in the family. Maybe they're still not being able to be the writer that they think they should be at, like in their 40s, and they still haven't hit it. I still tell them, let's release the expectations of what it is you think you want now, because once you connect more to you in a few weeks, who the hell knows? It could be, I've had people come to me for their business and then they find the love of their life by the time they finish my program. Literally.
You never know where the energy leads you to.
You never know where the energy leads you, because you weren't, like, a person most likely wasn't in a state of clarity to really know. And then, you know, as we say, ask the universe, ask and you shall receive. If we don't know what to ask for, or we don't know what we really feel we want, then we're not sure what to receive. So to answer your question, yes, visualization, you know, and creating images in our mind near the end of my program, I'd say the third portion, the third phase, is key to be able to then find clarity, feel it, and then go out there and just take action and create it, because now you're motivated by very clear feelings.
So would you say, with you being a mindset coach, those are the steps right there, just gaining the clarity, harnessing the feeling, and then jump starting the action?
Yeah. First we need to overcome suppressed emotions in order to feel more feeling. So that's when we do energy work and breath work first, just to work with the body, work with the energy, so we could release through the body and allow the body to do it, allow the cells to release the tension for us. Then mindset coaching comes in the second half to kind of reframe a limiting belief about someone, about their life. To, you know, we hear this a lot in a lot of our practices, and a lot of your followers, I'm sure, are hearing you got to change the stories about your life. You have to reframe your beliefs. But then how do we do that? And it's a practice of, we can reframe a belief about ourselves when we can first observe it. If we're living in it, we can't observe anything. We're living in a story.
Right.
And
A
false narrative. I lived in stories, we all do. I mean, I had Graves' disease and I was permanently cross-eyed with my eyes bulging like 6-7 millimeters from my eye for about 4 or 3 years.
Wow.
And that was my catalyst to kind of release tension and dive into where I am now. And that healing for me, it came from the same place. I started with Qigong, breath work. And it's the same phases I take my clients to. Then I could reframe the beliefs about my life and enter into ease. And when you're at ease, that's when your immune system kicks in and starts to heal you, which is what any healer does. We induce people to enter into an easeful healing state where their cells can repair them.
That's lovely. I guess that was, someone asked, would you please share a personal testimony? And that was his personal testimony. Mine was simply just wanting to have internal unanswered questions answered. And when I was in my early 20s, I dove into meditation head first and blindly. I just sort of looked up a bunch of YouTube videos, books my grandmother gave me, and I went out in the sun meditated probably 7, 8 hours a
Hmm.
day, crystals. I had binaural beats. I was like doing
Yeah.
everything. But I didn't have a teacher. And what I was doing was harnessing a lot of errant energy in my head because I was studying the chakra system and I was just so focused on the third eye center because I thought that was so powerful, not understanding oneness
Hmm.
and even just understanding a holistic life in general. So I just started feeling so many things. I would get like overwhelming, like my breaths actually became shorter because there was so much energy in my head and so much information.
Yeah.
So I reached out to family members that I knew did Qigong, but I wasn't close to at the time. And they led me to my teacher who taught me how to ground
Hmm.
and release that energy out of my head and into the rest of my body, into the earth through different breathing techniques. So that tension was all in my dome piece. And I had to release it. So that's my testimony. I wanted to ask you as well, how does someone harness the feeling or harness the emotion of the reality that they want to enter into? Like, how do
Hmm.
you bring them into that?
You know, you said it earlier, and it's the same thing that every sage, seer, teacher has been talking about for thousands of years. It's the only time we can activate any connection to that grounded connection so we can tap into a true feeling is now.
Right.
Like literally to take in spirit inspiration, to take in breath now. And when we can enter into this present moment now, I'm not bringing my baggage from the past into this moment.
Right.
I'm not thinking of fear of a future that hasn't happened yet. I can actually tap into the presence of now and then ask myself, now, how do I really feel? But when we're living with a bit of anxiety or a lot from the past, and we're like, okay, well, I'm just thinking about all the stuff from my work and all the way an outcome always is, and it's just going to end up being that way. And then, so I'm actually living with a feeling that existed in the past.
Yep.
Like I'm actually literally bringing. It's so fascinating how we bring those feelings that they're not we're making them present now. We drag
Yeah.
it. It's like a big bag. We're like, let me just drag this into now, and then now we live in it. When you live in an old feeling, you're bringing back chemical processes that were stressful
Over and over.
over and over and over again by repeating that pattern, repeating the expectation, repeating the feeling, bringing back the feeling. And then we're not able to enter into a true feeling that is new, which is like here and now.
Right. And the body becomes addicted
Oh,
to those chemical reactions.
it's comfortable in the familiarity of all that discomfort. That's what's so crazy. It's like we're comfortable in those crutches because that's all we know.
Right.
And it's hard to, I think what people like you and I do too, the key is, what we offer is accountability. It's one thing, like you and I, like I was able to do it on my own in my disease, but I always say there needs to be a catalyst. The catalyst for me was my eyes were bulging like 6 millimeters out of my head, and I had Graves' disease, and my left eye was looking at the ground permanently. My right eye was looking at the sky. I had to wear an eye patch every day, and I was like, if I don't get my shit together now, sorry, it's like, what am I gonna do? So kind of like you, then I had no choice. I committed every day. I committed every day. And most people, depending on whatever they're going through, that commitment's the hard part.
Right.
The consistency is the hard part. It's one thing to connect to a true feeling now, maybe during this live or anything that they listen to with you or me. People can be like, oh yeah, okay, I can feel it. And then they go back to work, they go back to their kids, they go back to life. They're like, oh, then the conditions come back.
Right.
Right. And that's the hard part. It's trying to find that consistency, which then someone needs to call someone like you or me.
Right. My grandmother actually was doing the Qigong first out of everyone from my uncle and my aunts, my cousins, and myself. And she, like us, she was one of those people who needed an extreme catalyst to really have her be consistent
Yeah.
work. At one point, she had arthritis extremely in her hands, like fingers extremely thick and swollen. And she did Qigong breathing in the same posture for 3 months, and her arthritis went away. And she kept with it for a while. Then I'm better now. So I can limit, how long I do my breathing. And my grandmother is not the average grandma. She cycles, she travels, she does everything. So she had a accident when she was on her bike and fractured her collarbone, and she had to get surgery, or was supposed to get surgery, and she didn't want to. So she went back to doing the breath work like for hours a day, and then she didn't have to get surgery again.
Yeah.
So her mind is still very, very sharp too, and I feel like, and I know that's from just the years that she put into doing the deep breath and just anchoring in herself and reprogramming herself, So I can kind of be like that too. I've gotten more consistent with my practice, not 7-8 hours a day, more so like an hour, 2 hours a day, where I just feel myself expanding. I feel more clear. I'm just here, So when I cultivate my whatever feeling I want to, it's easier for me because I did the work already to keep my vibration higher, Thank you, Lauren. So, what does your daily practice look like?
I think Oprah interviewed Eckhart Tolle one day, and I think if I'm remembering this correctly, she asked him, what's your daily practice? He's like, nothing, presence. Mm-hmm. And I'm the same way. I mean, do I have a daily practice? Yes. Before I get up out of bed, before I even get out of my covers, I place my hand on my heart and I do self-Reiki, or just I connect. I find that deep breath. I stay with it. Mm-hmm. And then I stay with it longer. And when I want to get up, I tell myself, no, stay with it again. So I try to stay with it every time I think I need to get up. Then throughout my day, the key is to enter into that same feeling that you can train yourself to feel, but do it throughout your day. Like one of the key tenets of my practice is actually not to take the time, not to be like, okay, I need to wait for lunch, or I work in a corporate office, I need to wait for 1 p.m., or I need to wait for Philip's meditation track, I need my headphones on my phone, or I need to wait till I get home to do it again, or, well, now I'm busy, I need to wait till after I do groceries. It's like, no, yes, do that, but no, practice it even while you're writing an email.
Right.
For us even to do it now while we're...
Yeah, I've been down on breathing.
On this live, it's just to be present within the body and the breath, and you'll find it slow drip. You'll find it like, man, when you start to release tension on a daily basis more often than not, and you're conscious of it. And it's hard, I know, if people are listening to this, like, well, still, how do you do that? Again, it's still a practice to cultivate. It's not a lot of times where we could hear something and be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to do that every day now. But when you can learn to do that, that's the shit. Sorry. It's like, that's... No, it is. that's like Eckhart Tolle. I'm totally aligned with him and his practice, how it's every day, any moment of any day that you are conscious of. Right. Then that's the game changer. I find. And then, yes, on top of all that, I have my gratitude, which is really important every day, obviously, to just be in gratitude. Gratitude, I'm sure, as many people know, it's been shown to actually like change your body and your brain's chemistry, to actually increase your heart's biofield energy, to actually increase the dopamine. You feel more blissful when you're more grateful. So to step, we hear it all the time, and people are like, journal about gratitude, journal every day, but we take it for granted that I find a lot of people, we hear it all the time, but we don't actually do it. Right. It's even saying, again, it's about consistency. That's why grace before meals, I grew up in a Muslim and Roman Catholic household, which was interesting. It's like, that was like both of them. I'm like, all right, Quran, Roman Catholic Bible. I'm like, Mom, Dad, you're both talking about the same stuff here. Stop fighting. Because they made me read both, but they wouldn't read both. And I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. I'm like, I'm reading both. And I'm like, they're both talking about the same stuff here. And even in there, again, it's about taking in spirit to be grateful. And the language has changed, but the practices are the same. Yeah, ultimately. ultimately. Yeah.
So I'm so glad you got on this live with me today.
No, I appreciate it. It's been so good to connect with you.
Yeah, we should link again and do some breathing training and, share what we know.
Absolutely. I mean, I love connecting with other healers and coaches and just creating a network to kind of just share resources, share information. Because the one thing I find that's so beautiful about now, especially with the online space, is there's 7 billion people in the world, and to just even share our practices with each other and our clients. Like I always refer people every week, and I actually interview people for my program, so I don't work with everyone. There's kind of criteria that we both have to fit to make sure that it works, that someone would commit 10 weeks of their life. But if something doesn't work, or if we feel that the connection's not there, then I refer people every week to other people. It's just all I care about, again, with that intention of just sharing an abundance and feeling no restriction. If someone can find their true match, then that's awesome. So I really respect and appreciate everything you do, and especially the link between breathwork, qigong, and diet and food. I think is so. Actually, like one question I want to ask you is, how have you found that practice of combining it in your practice? If I can ask you that, if we have a minute.
Sure. How did I find it effective? What was your question exactly?
Or how did you end up combining, like, because you speak a lot about obviously nutrition, diet, and vegan lifestyle, vegan diet, but also with qigong, breathing, and coaching as well. So how did you come to combine that? I'm just curious.
So when I first started doing meditation with the short story I told you earlier, I noticed you start feeling more. And I noticed what I was eating was making me feel dense or heavier or more tired. So I put in this work of breath work, go eat something, and then it's kind of like I defeated the purpose, because then I feel heavy or I feel drowsy. So it almost just was common sense for me you need to eat more plant-based. You need to cut the meat, So that's how I ended up combining the two. And I've always been a lucid dreamer. I've been a lucid dreamer. I've always remembered my dreams, and I've kind of, connected the dots from my waking state to what I was dreaming about and what my dreams were trying to, reveal to me that was more subconscious. And when I started eating more vegetables, I was remembering more of my dreams. I remember my dreams, but it would be like moments of it. But now I remember the entire thing. And I love, going on my adventures at night. So that's what kept me consistent, even so with my diet, and combining the breath work as well. So, yeah.
It's so key. I find even in my own healing journey, I started with diet as well, and eating more plant-based diet back then. Like I'm half Filipino, so that side of me just loved an old lifestyle of just oily, greasy Filipino food and a lot of meat. And then those years I just stopped eating meat. I just wanted to eat. My body intuitively knew that I needed more plant-based nutrition. But I found the reason I love what you do, because I found even after my body was physiologically starting to heal, it wouldn't stay only with diet alone. If my thoughts were still freaking out from my life and my identity, and I was married at the time and going through a violent divorce, and had issues with my career in fashion that I didn't align with anymore. And it's like, you can bring back disease regardless of what you eat when you don't have the holistic whole wellness approach. You can concentrate on diet and eat as cleanly as you possibly can. But if you're not also cleansing the mind to not reintroduce more mental toxins,
right,
there'll still be a cycle that's always missing. And I find that even with myself, like right now, I'm actually doing an 8-day fast that I do once a year, just to completely clean my inner system. So I need to do that as well, and maintain my diet to make sure I could consistently elevate.
right. What type of diet are you doing, or fast are you doing?
This is an Ayurvedic fast from my doctor. It's an odd fast. It's the only time of year. It's a parasite bowel cleanse. without getting into too much detail. But I think people can figure that one out. But it's meant to actually clear parasites from the body and completely clear the bowels, like through your entire intestines and digestive system. So through my doctor, it's the only time of year that I'll actually have dairy. So it's goat's milk that is the closest to human. Yeah, it's interesting. It's the only time of year I'll have dairy. And it's from Dr. Linda Lancaster, who this protocol, along with followed by an all like veggie, whole food, whole grain only, no preservatives, no sugar, pretty much how I eat all the time, but even more strict. Like it's a liver cleanse after that. So we use the vegetables and the fibers to clear the stomach after 8 days of fasting on enzyme pills and goat's milk. So it's an ancient Ayurvedic practice to use it to rebalance the pH, to clean the internal system while giving you enough calories and fat to just maintain without me fainting.
Right. Okay, interesting. Because I was going to ask you if there was any papaya included, but then right when you said, I think I saw your post and you did say you were having like goat's milk. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you leave with the people who are on the live where they can find you, connect with you, work with you?
Yeah, you can find me on at phillipattar.com. So just PHILIPATTAR, rather, at Phillip Attar on Instagram, or you can reach me at phillipattar.com. Yeah, there's introductory videos there, and I usually like to, I always recommend before I offer one free consultation, more of an interview to feel if it feels aligned. So before anyone gives, books that call, they're welcome to, but to really look at my Instagram, look at my website, view some of what I write to kind of feel if it really speaks to you. And if it really does speak to you, then I offer that free consult to anyone. And it's a way for me really to find kind of like an old fashioned phone call. It's weird. It's like, I want to find out, do we have chemistry? Like my clients don't only spend 10 weeks with me, they're actually moved into a graduate group after my program. So we can spend years, like our lives together. So I want to make sure that we find a match. And if it's not the right match, I tell someone in 30 minutes, I'm like, you know what, cool. Whether or not someone wants to pay me or not, I'm like, are we cool? Does this feel so aligned? Because we will be together. And when it feels aligned, that person is so motivated to change their life that's a huge part of the mindset.
Right.
They give it their all and they commit. So yeah, check out phillipattar.com. There's information there on how to book that free call, and then a short application, and then we could just feel if it feels right or not. If not, we'll find someone. I have a network like people like you of literally 1,000 people. So
nice.
Happy to refer anyone just to make sure they find what they need. So then we could raise the vibration of the whole world, which is the whole point, to pay it forward.
That's the whole point. So if you guys are interested in even vegan meal plans or vegan catering, you can reach me at internallifestyle.com or on my page, Internal Lifestyle. Thank you, Phillip, for doing this live. And enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too, and thank you for having me. It's so good to reconnect. Awesome.
Yes.
So much love, so much respect for what you do.
Likewise.